Hi, good morning, friends. So this is another session for impact analysis on COVID-19, which is going everywhere. And today again, we have an eminent personality with us who is an ex-government official, a senior IAS, Mr. Rajendra Bhanawar from Jaipur. And he has worked in various positions within government of Rajasthan. He was divisional commissioner, he was collector, he was MD tourism department, and his last profile was MD RICO. So we will be taking opinion from him on all government matters also and what he thinks about it. So Mr. Rajendra, welcome to this session. Thank you very much for giving your time.
Thank you, Anshul, for getting me in. Yeah.
Okay, so first I would like to know this tough time that what do you think, what is your opinion and how you are coping up with COVID-19 currently?
So far as I am concerned personally, it is a God-sent opportunity for us to be spending some time at home and looking into ourselves and looking into various aspects which we were not able to do earlier. In the pace of time, you keep on moving ahead without really knowing what has happened to your life and how have you been able to do it. Also, I was writing my memoirs, so I had been able to have some time to give a finishing touch to my memoirs, which is now going to be published soon. I think it should be out by the end of this month. So I have this principle of enjoying whatever is given to us, and I'm trying to do that to the best of my ability. And both of us are trying to do it in Jaipur. Yeah.
Okay, great. So as you said, I know that you are an avid writer and your blogs in newspaper are continuously being published. So I would also like to know that what is your opinion or what role media has to play in this case?
Like when we say media, there are three parts of it. One is the print medium, which has been there for many, many years. Generally, even today in villages and in all places, I think people take the word in the print media to be comparatively more correct compared to others. Then now, of course, for a few years now, we have electronic media, which also shows you the visual. But the problem, and I think both of them have been doing a fairly good job. They have been trying to caution people without creating panic. But yes, the third part, that is the social media, that could have been effective tool of bringing in more camaraderie and maybe the brotherhood. But sometimes some elements in the society also try to use the opportunity for spreading hatred, for spreading communalism, and there's all sort of communal hatred, and even otherwise all types of false rumors, fake news, how to treat corona, COVID-19 with all sorts of treatments. Everybody is becoming a doctor, prescribing n number of things. So this can create a lot of problem in the society. So social media is, yes, it is a double-edged weapon. Used effectively, it can be extremely helpful. But I think yes, print and electronic medium, they are doing fairly good job. They are trying to bring the correct picture to the people without creating panic. They have been cautioning people, and I think that whatever we have seen in India, it is a big factor. It has been the role of media in ensuring that people maintain social distance, at least in areas where people are educated and people are not forced to go out.
Right. So you have worked in government for almost 30 years, 8 years now. So, and you have spoken about some control measures also. So I would like to know that as a collector also you have worked. So how difficult it is for the administration to control the entire city as well as the police department during such unprecedented times?
There are two aspects. One is, I think we slipped a bit in the beginning when it was happening in China and some other places. I think, and everybody knew that it might come from outside. So the government would have done better, I would say. It could have done better by controlling the entry of foreigners into India and then quarantining them, ensuring that they are free of corona, and then could have let them into the country. Not doing so, initially in the month of January, February, and even in the first week of March, I think that allowed people to come in from outside with problems, and they were able to, knowingly or unknowingly, I'm not saying they did it knowingly, but asymptomatically, they might have brought problems, which then whosoever they came in contact with, that got spread. So tracing the people became more difficult. If it had been contained right at the time of entry into the country from outside, they come by air or come by ship, whatever means they come, it could have been. This was not done, but that is now the past. There is no point in talking about the past. That is given thing. And so far the administration is concerned, I think in all times of crisis, whether it is floods, whether it is elections, whether it is earthquake, all or communal riots, I think administration, howsoever bad sometimes people perceive it to be, but it has come out with flying colors in most of the time. Difficult times, as the saying goes, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. And the administration has this capacity of going well. And I'm happy to see some people in administration doing a good job. But as you have in all spheres, administration also have good, average, and bad people. So it is left to now it's for the government to pick and choose right type of people and put them in right places. But also as a person having been in the administration, I feel that economy just cannot be. There are many people whose survival depends on day-to-day earning. They are working in factories, they are daily wages workers, they are rag pickers, they are homeless people, and they are farmers, agricultural laborers, all these people, small shopkeepers. So we cannot continue with this sort of a situation for endless time. Taking all these into consideration, we have to have a balanced approach where you stop the spread. At the same time, you do ensure that people survive. At least first thing is survival. There's have a survival. Government is trying its best. Number of voluntary agencies are also playing their role, but it's a tricky situation. You can't open it for all. You can't stop it for all.
Definitely, social distancing is the only option left with everybody. And when you have spoken about the containment,
yes.
When you have spoken about the containment, I would also like your comments on Tablighi Jamaat issue and Markaz issue, which has happened in Delhi. What do you think that the government role was there to be played, and why the issue has been not controlled in time?
Let me put it this way. Without knowing the facts in great details, whatever has come to our notice, I think the organization of this Jamaat could have been not allowed, should not have been allowed by the government. Government may say that they did not need the permission, but all authorities in the government would be knowing that such and such congregation is going to take place. And that too in the month of March. They started in the month of March and they continued. And when this was happening, I think administration should have been proactive. It has been reactive. Right now, when the 25th of March approached, when they started approaching the police station, then they said we want to send them by buses. For 4 or 5 days, the letters kept on going from one place to the other, and the things continued to get from bad to worse. And ultimately, what happened is known to everybody. So, whereas the organizers of the Jamaat are responsible, I think administration cannot also wash its hands off by saying that we did not know anything. It is just about 100, 200 meters from the local police station. And the entire ministry, it is such a big congregation. Thousands of people gather from all over the world. If they are coming, why were they allowed in? If they were allowed in, was there safety precautions taken? So these questions will remain in mind. But I think the present time is not the time to blame anyone.
You have said very rightly. And countries like South Korea, Japan, those countries have also considered testing as a major breakthrough for this corona virus, and they have already conducted lots of testing only rather than isolation. They have preferred testing as a basis. So, but as of now, what I see is in India, we don't have sufficient testing kits available across India. So, do you think that government is taking some initiative on this and also that they make available testing kits across India in ample?
No, and India is a world in itself. So India has around 1.3, 1.4 billion people. So to think of testing, doing random testing in the society at a number of places is just out of question. Even if the government wants to do it because of geographical spread, because of the density of population, because of the poverty in the society, the government Supreme Court has said now that the test for testing, no charges will be done. Initially, there was an apprehension, people were not coming forward for testing. I think we cannot have testing for all people like in other small countries. We need to be following what we have been doing, that we test those people who come in the circle of suspicion and test all of them.
Other point is, in Jaipur itself, we have the highest cases which has been reported across Rajasthan. So do you feel anywhere there is a failure from the government in Jaipur, the capital city of Rajasthan, whereas other cities of Rajasthan don't have so many cases reported?
What happened is, if you are following what has been through the newspapers, etc., as I said, about 80% cases, 80 to 85% cases of Jaipur are only from one area, that is the Ramganj area. so far the spread outside that particular four-wall city, particular area, is not much. And I think if entire, I would suggest that all people living in an area, 100% testing probably needs to be done. If possible, I think within a period of 5-7 days, then it should be possible to contain it more effectively, because that is an area of concern. Should be an area of concern for the government, for citizens, and for everybody.
Okay, you have been managing director for the RICO for many years, and there has been
Yes.
representation going on from majority of the Chamber of Commerce and Industries for waiver of charges from RICO, waiver of interest from RICO, contribution for the government from PF, EPF, and relaxation in labor laws. So, if you would have been that place currently, what would have been your suggestion to the government for these relaxations to the industry?
Look, Anshul, the problem is in India and in the other parts of the world. Problem is other countries have around 90% people who are in the organized sector. In other parts of the world, in other than India. In India, around 90% people are in the unorganized sector. If they're an unorganized sector, how do they get the benefit? The main problem is this. So therefore, I think the main area of concern for the government should be to see that those people who are in the unorganized sector, how are they helped? Their survival is more difficult. They have no fixed employer. They have no other social security benefits, and therefore that is their problem. So far as the big employers are concerned, who have even big employers, I think you might be aware that all the people working for an industrialist or an entrepreneur are not on payroll sometimes. They are not entitled to many benefits of the government. In that case, the government will be able to benefit only those people who are probably on the payrolls of the concerned enterprises. So they have the PF, they have the other systems are there. So the social security net has to be improved. And yes, the industrialist will have to be certain waiver or deferment. There could be one of the two things. Initially, we do not know how long it is going to be there. So if the electrical charges say, if the factories are not working, you can waive off the electric power charges, because if the power charges are levied without the industry running, it makes no sense, because that will be double jeopardy for them. No income and only penalties and charges are to be paid. So that has to be there. And to provide, to sustain the labor could be paid. Probably, I think, since I had an occasion to remain NREGA commissioner, if NREGA could be tied up with some of these unorganized industries or small industries, I think people working there could be paid through NREGA, because they would be working, so partly they could be paid. Some mechanism could be found where the financial burden on industries which are not able to take the burden of the labor force, I think they need to be supplemented.
So probably what you're saying, in government needs to focus on that, because majority of the funds, now thousands of crores have been diverted from the regular budgeted funds, and this was something which was unexpected. So, and a huge amount of fund has been utilized in this COVID-19, and maybe for coming months, the support needs to be done.
Yes.
So probably government would also think into it, and let's hope for a better time.
One suggestion I think which comes to mind is, most of the religious trusts, most of the temple trusts, whether it is belonging to any religion, maybe any religion in the country, most of them are flush with funds.
Yeah.
But it is the time, and their funds have also come from the common man, whether it is Tirupati, Srinathji, Siddhivinayak, Dargah, or church, or any Gurudwara, Amritsar, whatever. You have tons of money available with them. Tons. I'm saying literally tons of money. Now it is time. I would expect the trust to voluntarily come and give it to the government. If they do not do so, and the government can always use extraordinary powers, I think government of the day is the people's government. And for the people, if people are dying, in case the situation comes to that level, if people don't have anything to survive and the government has no money.
Okay, so thanks a lot for your time. And definitely also I would thank the administration and the police department who are currently working day and night with their untiring efforts.
My all salutations to all the people who are doing risking their lives, and that to the families also who are allowing families, the doctors, police personnel, other paramedical staff, other extension workers who are going out in the field and trying to save lives of people who are sitting in their homes, and the millions and millions of people. I wish them all the best.